Hi everybody, it's Ryan here, and today we're going to be looking at exchange rates, policy implications, and trade balance, and the J-curve and the Marshall-Lerner condition. So, let's begin with a little warm-up here. Say that we've got dual-lit toasters, a typical UK export product because dual-lit toasters are brilliant, and they're made in the UK, and let's say that the price that we want to sell them for, the price we want as a manufacturer, is £50 each. So if the dollar to pound exchange rate is £1 will buy $1.50, what is the price of a dual-lit toaster in the USA? So I'm going to work this out really quickly. I've got my pad of paper and a calculator, so let's get on with it. So a product worth £50 with a £1 to $1.50 exchange rate, you multiply that through, 50 times 1.5 is $75. Now say the pound depreciates to £1 is $1.20. What will the new price of a dual-lit toaster be in the USA? So working through the maths on this again, £50 in the UK, the exchange rate is £1 is $1.20, and so therefore we multiply it through again. £50 times 1.2 is now $60. What does this suggest about the effect of a weak pound on exports? Well, we kept the price of our product the same in pounds. The pound got weaker compared to the dollar, bought fewer dollars, and as a result, the price in America came down. Because of this lower price, you might think that we're going to be able to sell more of those toasters in America now. So another quick warm-up here. Let's say that now we're importing products from America. We're buying some iconic product like Levi's jeans. And let's say that these jeans are produced in the USA and the USA producer wants $50 per pair. If the exchange rate is £1 is $1.50, what is the price of Levi's jeans in the UK? So I'm working on the same bit of paper here. I've now just got the starting point, which is in dollars. Exchange rate, £1 is $1.50. And so this time we're now dividing through. And so the 50 divided by 1.5 means that those jeans, $50 jeans in the UK, will cost us £33, 33p. If the pound now depreciates to £1 buys us $1.20, what will be the new price of Levi's jeans in the UK? So working that through again here on the bottom, $50 is the price in America. The new exchange rate of £1 is $1.20. And so again, dividing 50 divided by 1.2 means that these jeans have now gone up in price to £41, 66p. What does this suggest about the effect of a weak pound on imports? Well, a weak pound is going to make imports more expensive, like we just saw there. And anyone who's ever been on holiday abroad, who's looking at the exchange rate of the country that you're going to, will know that the holiday is going to be more expensive. And holiday, of course, is an imported thing that you're doing. You're buying something from another country. And so therefore, the weak pound is going to make things more expensive for you. And then therefore, if things are more expensive, you'll tend to buy fewer of those things. And that's really the point of this lesson. We're looking how it is that either strong or weak exchange rate affect policy outcomes for an economy, principally the balance of payments. First thing to look at is a really handy mnemonic, which you may have heard about if you've done GCSE business studies or economics before. It's called SPICED. So when you look at SPICED, it just stands for different parts of a handy, memorable thing. So SPICED stands for strong pound, imports cheap, exports are dear. And that's what you'll find here. If you look at an exchange rate diagram, which shows the pound to dollars, which is to say how many dollars can you buy with each pound. If you see the pound depreciating, this means that British exports will be cheap to the rest of the world. And so therefore you will expect to export more of these goods. Likewise, if we see the pound becoming stronger, there's that spiced strong pounds, therefore our exports are going to become more dear to the rest of the world, and so therefore you would expect us to export less. What effect do exchange rates have on policy objectives? The easiest way to think about this is if you start with a depreciation in your exchange rate. So our pound gets weaker. This will increase our net exports because exports are cheaper, so we sell more of them. Imports are more expensive, so we import fewer items. As a result of this, because x minus n is part of AD is going to shift to the right. We will therefore see an increase in economic growth going from Y1 to Y2. We'll probably see, depending on where we are in terms of our capacity of the AS curve, probably see a bit of a rise in inflation. We'll see a decrease in unemployment as we go from a period of a point here at Y1 closer towards our full capacity. And we'll also see our trade balance improve. We would expect to see the exports minus imports, because that was the thing that was driving this, is going to therefore improve. You can also say that there's going to be an effect on the AS curve. Some economies might be heavily reliant on imports, and some industries will be heavily reliant on imports. If you have a depreciation in your currency, this will affect the ability to import raw materials, and so therefore will shift the AS curve. I would illustrate this by saying that AS is going to shift to the left because there's less you can make overall. And also it's going to shift it up because it's a nominal increase as well. So it's a bit of a real increase because you can't make as much, but really at the end of the day, it's also going to raise prices, your input prices. As a result of this, inflation will increase, economic growth will decrease, and unemployment will also increase because we are, as you can see, moving higher price level and then falling in Y2 and Y1. Now, the main thing you're going to want to look at when you look at the effect of exchange rates is going to be on the trade balance. Trade balance, which we're sort of lumping into, a bit of a cheat here, but we're going to say that, let's just say that it's the current account of the balance of payments. It's not the entire balance of payments, but let's say that, exports minus imports is the biggest part of the balance of payments. So we'll be able to put this in terms of what our currency and the effect on exports and imports is going to have on our trade balance. So let's say that we're running a deficit over time. You just say time is here on the x-axis and our current account of the balance of payments. We're just, this is just a baseline here. It could be that we're running a surplus, but typically you'd like to say that, we're running a deficit here. If we then say we have a depreciation of the currency, that's this point here, and it's just a point in time that the currency has had a point where it now buys fewer of the other currencies that you're trading with. What this means then is in the short term, the products which you're buying may be inelastic. So therefore, you still want to buy them, but because our currency is depreciated, you have to pay more for them. So you keep buying these things which are more expensive to you, and our trade balance gets worse. That's what you see here in this first little dip, a worsening of the trade balance. Eventually, we find new products to buy. The products that we're importing become more elastic. They become more price sensitive. When we buy less of these imports, as a result of the price increasing, our trade balance improves. This is what we refer to as the J curve. It's a really important economic concept, and what it illustrates is that if you have a depreciation of your currency, your trade balance will get worse, and then eventually it will get better. Another really important part of this theory is the Marshall-Lerner condition. What the Marshall-Lerner condition states is that a depreciation in the currency will have a positive effect on the current account of the balance of payments only if the sum of the elasticities of demand for exports and imports is greater than 1. In other words, are your exports and your imports on the whole price elastic? If your exports and imports are on the whole price elastic, this means that the depreciation of the currency will lead you to sell a proportionally higher number of exports, buy a proportionally lower number of imports, and therefore will improve your balance of payments. The Marshall-Lerner condition is a really big part of the J curve, and you can really plot them together if you'd like to. As you see here, the depreciation of the currency happened at this point in time. As we have depreciated the currency and we see a decreasing position in our current accounts of the balance of payments, it is in this section of the J curve, before it reaches the bottom, that the Marshall-Lerner condition is not met. Your imports and exports are on the whole inelastic. After the bottoming out part, though, the Marshall-Lerner condition is met. Your imports and your exports are therefore more elastic, and so therefore you will sell more exports, buy fewer imports, and you will therefore improve your current account of the balance of payments. Now, the J curve and the Marshall-Lerner condition sound really tricky. It's useful to just break them down to absolute basics and make them really, really simple, because that's actually going to help you to conceptualize it, because it's a really, really important topic that you'll want to master for use in an examination on exchange rates. The way I conceptualize it is I always think to myself, with time, things are going to become more elastic. And so I think if I'm going to be importing Levi's jeans, because maybe I really love Levi's jeans, when the pound is strong, that's going to be great. I'm going to be importing lots of them, which is actually not very good for the UK's balance of payments, the current account of the balance of payments. If the pound depreciates In the short term, I'm going to think to myself, I still love my Levi's, still want to buy them, I'm just going to pay a bit more for them. That's going to actually make the current account of the balance of payments even worse. Eventually, over time, when I realize that the pound has depreciated, I'm still buying my Levi's, but I'm thinking I can't afford these anymore. That's when I start to think maybe I'll find some other alternative jeans. Maybe I find like a UK brand of jeans like Community Clothing or something, and I realize that over time my preferences change. I stop importing the Levi's jeans from America, start buying domestically produced jeans, and as a result of my purchasing domestic goods, the current account of the balance of payments for the UK would improve. Make sure you've got a really solid example of the J-curve in your notes. It's going to be a really, really useful thing to use in an examination when you're evaluating the effect of exchange rates. I wouldn't necessarily have the exact definition for the Marshall-Lerner condition in notes. Just remember that what the Marshall-Lerner condition states is that in the beginning, things are going to be inelastic, and so therefore you're going to have a worsening of your current account of balance of payments. But then over time, things become more elastic, and you'll see an improvement in the current account of the balance of payments. That's it for this topic. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos on economics content.